us now, New York Times reporter Yamiche Alcindor, MSNBC political analyst and professor at the University of Michigan School of Public Policy, former Democratic Congressman Harold Ford Jr., and the president of the Council on Foreign Relations, Richard Haass.
Hey, Richard, you know, a year and a half ago, you said wherever you went in the world, whatever continent you were on, they all asked the same question, which was, is this Trump thing real? Well, it is real. What's the impact going to be from all the places you go to see?
People around the world.
Look, overseas people have heard things in this campaign, particularly from Mr. Trump, that they hadn't heard before from an American president. One of his real challenges, if not opportunities, depending upon how he handles it, is can he reassure people? A lot of the world has essentially franchised out their security to us. They feel vulnerable. So just like at home, he's got to deal with the divisions. Overseas, today, his real challenge is to begin the process of reassurance.
And Yamiche, that reassurance also needs to begin at home for Donald Trump if he really wants to bring people together. If you're a Muslim American this morning, you're probably scared. If you're a Hispanic American this morning, you probably wonder what your future's looking like. If you're a black American, you wonder what this means as far as policing goes and the balance between safety and civil rights. What does Donald Trump need to do to reassure the people who this morning are waking up feeling like they don't know what country they live in anymore?
He needs to really say that, okay, now that I've won this election, I'm now going to be the president of America, and I'm going to seek policies that are going to bring people together, because the exit polls show that there was such a stark divide of how Americans saw their futures and how Americans really thought that what the policy should be. So I think he's really going to have to reassure, especially African Americans and Muslims and Latino voters, that I'm not going to come after you and your family. I'm not going to racially profile you. My Department of Justice is going to protect your civil rights just like President Obama's Department of Justice did, and it's going to be a tall order because there are a lot of people who frankly don't trust him yet, but I think he's going to have to build that trust.
Harold, I remember sitting on the set with you on this show a couple weeks ago. Some of the discussion was happening, and some other people on the show were saying, when she wins, and I think you said, let's stop talking about this race in the past.
Oh my gosh.
Even
at Joey's wedding back in July, I can now say this. Harold Ford, well, everybody else said, can I say this?
Yeah.
Harold Ford, we're sitting around at Joey's wedding in July, and everybody was laughing at Trump. And Harold Ford said, guys, he's going to win. And everybody laughed at Harold, and he said, no, he's going to win. And just last week, he said, watch out for Michigan.
And he talked about Michigan last week. Hillary Clinton had a generation of get out the vote. She had the entire Democratic establishment with her. She had a popular president, first lady, vice president out stumping for her. She had Bernie Sanders out to recruit the millennial vote. What happened?
I think you've said it a lot this morning on the set already. I think the campaign itself, there were some shortcomings, some holes there. I think there was an overconfidence leading into the very end. But we're where we are. And I think, to Mr. Alcinder's point, he got off to a positive start last night with the speech. Two, as crazy as this is, and Richard can speak to this much better than I can, Western Europe's politics has changed over the last 12 to 18 months. You saw in South America the Colombians reject a deal to actually end a war with guerrilla rebels that really hibernated and frankly in the woods there. And now you have it come to us. This is a rebuke of big and small institutions across the board. It's a rebuke of polling, of media organizations, big and small, particularly the large ones. And I think everyone has to take a step back and not only has to hope that he does a lot of the things that you laid out.
But to listen to people.
But we've got to listen in a way we have not listened, because Sanders' effect on the Democratic side was equally powerful, which has been remarked about on this show. Had there been another candidate in that race, it might have appealed to African-American voters on the Democratic side, particularly across the South. Secretary Clinton could have been in even bigger trouble, and certainly if Sanders had held his own ground, it could have been a different outcome. So there's a lot of looking under the hood that has to take place. And Joe, you talked about this throughout this thing as well. And one of the reasons I think, in fairness to you guys, that you talked about Trump the way you did early on was a realization that something weird was happening and strange was happening in the country.
It's not like we agreed with him on everything, but we believed in the possibility we could see something palpable happening.
And also, he just knew how to connect with people in a way nobody has since Ronald Reagan. Really quickly, Donald Trump watches this show a good bit. He's probably asleep right now.
No.
But then again, he doesn't sleep. So chances are good he's watching the show right now. What does President-elect Trump need to do today? What would be the first phone call you would have him make today to assure an ally?
Well, first of all, I'd start domestically. Think about people across the aisle you want to reach out to, because we've got to deal with the dysfunctionality of American politics. Internationally, begin with your friends. Start with, what's been the most unsettled? Korea, Japan, Germany, Britain, France. Deal with America's most important allies. Israel, you'd add to that list. But basically reassure your allies who historically have worked with us and have had faith in us, that faith is still going to be respected and taken care of.
Up next, a man who always reminds us to wait until people actually vote. Tom Brokaw joins us next on Morning Joe.